Welcome back to the Nat Reports, your daily sports business brief. As always, I'm Dave DeBaugh, coming to you from the Silicon Valley. Now, today, we actually had what can best be described as a monumental sports deal. Now, a lot of times, we take that and we say something like that, and it's a bit out of context. But I think in this particular case, when you think about what the UFC and Dana White and his entire team actually pulled off today, it was nothing short of doubling what they used to make in their deal with ESPN. They are getting $7.7 billion over the next 7 years from CBS and, of course, Paramount Plus. This is a huge, monumental deal for the folks over at UFC. That is our feature topic of the day. All right, please go ahead and drop in your comments. I want to know what you think. I personally am excited to not have to deal with pay-per-view pricing anymore, which is going to go away completely, at least for the folks in the United States. If you're in other parts of the world, this particular deal has no effect on how you actually get and receive UFC fights. So if you're in other parts of the world, you're probably still going to have to pay for a pay-per-view event if you want to catch any of the UFC fights live. I think for the sports fan out there, this actually makes the UFC considerably more accessible. It's also a huge win from a business perspective for Paramount Plus. And when we think about all of the major streaming services out there, and where they sort of land in the streaming services landscape, like if we were to tier them up, I think a lot of us would probably have Paramount Plus in tier 3. So this is certainly going to help Paramount Plus out a lot. On top of all of that, I think there's going to be 13 events every year, which are also going to find their way to CBS television proper. This is a huge deal for everybody involved. For UFC and Dana White, they used to make around $500 million a year in their past deal with ESPN. Now, for ESPN, this is certainly a hit that they didn't want to take, coming up on the heels of their new service, which they're getting ready to launch in a couple weeks, their consumer-oriented ESPN app service, which of course is going to have a lot of things. And even as big as Disney is, it can't certainly go out and buy everything at this point. So certainly I think their recent deal with the National Football League, in which they acquired the NFL Network, the NFL Red Zone channel, at least some of the rights to the NFL Red Zone channel, and NFL Fantasy Football, costing the company a 10% equity stake in ESPN, which basically amounts to about $2.5 billion in a cost. So for ESPN to sort of be in a position where it maybe had to walk away from a deal like this with UFC is not terribly surprising at this point, at least from an economic standpoint. As for CBS Sports and, of course, Paramount Plus, this certainly puts them in a very good position for a wide variety of reasons. Remember, this isn't just about the fact that you're no longer going to have to pay pay-per-view fees in 2026 when this contract actually kicks off. This also solidifies Paramount Plus as a major streaming service, at least in the world of sports. Does it move it up a tier from a tier 3 to a tier 2? Probably. Does it give Paramount Plus and CBS Sports also a step in the right direction when they get into an NFL renegotiation in 2029? Absolutely. Because what you get with UFC from a demographic perspective will certainly be very important to the folks over at the National Football League as they look to continue to grow their sport, not just with people my age, not just with my kids' age group, but for the other kids who are just now getting into the National Football League. And we know that the UFC audience certainly streams younger, and certainly is a fantastic move by CBS and Paramount Plus. Outside of the pay-per-view components, outside of being able to just pay a subscription fee for Paramount Plus and then get everything that UFC has to offer, certainly made a lot of sense for a wide variety of reasons. But the other reasons are a little less obvious, and I just pointed out one of them, which of course is the pending National Football League deal, which is coming up in 2028/2029, when the NFL most likely will cancel the remaining years on their current contract. But beyond all of that, this also sets Paramount Plus up in a new way, a way that it was not currently set up until today's announcement was made. We've all watched Paramount Plus to some extent for certain shows, but I don't think any of us have really thought of Paramount Plus necessarily as a go-to place for the world of sports. But certainly this plays into that hand. And of course, with college football season getting ready to kick off and some of the games actually being pushed over to Paramount Plus, you can see that Paramount Plus understands the importance of sports, understands the importance of what used to be considered fringe sports, which have now turned into mainstream sports, which is exactly what UFC is. Who would have imagined that 10 years ago, Dana White would actually get away with a $1.1 billion per year deal with CBS to actually carry UFC? That is the world that we now live in. A $7.7 billion deal is what happened today. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions on this particular topic. Please go ahead and drop them in. Once again, you've been watching and listening to the Nat Reports, your daily sports business brief. Elsewhere around the world of sports today, there are certainly some other interesting stories that popped up. One of them I think that was most interesting is John Gruden has won a fight with the NFL over his email leak arbitration, which basically means Gruden's going to get a day in court against the National Football League. That certainly was a big win for Gruden specifically today. Outside of that, there have also been some rumors today that ESPN and Fox are considering bringing back their venue sports concept. And I'm sure they had some insights into what was about to be announced with UFC, which is why that story leaked in the first place. All right, that's what I've got for you today on your daily sports business brief for the Nat Reports. I'm Dave DeBaugh, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.